Chapter 431, The Final Battle. Many human figures gathered like the tides from all directions of the walls. The final battle was about to arrive. This announcement caused countless cultivators, regardless of warriors or students, who wished to earn some contribution points to gather over. In fact, even teachers of the Great Wall University were gathered here. As humans, they naturally had to be responsible for the fate of humanity. Those who felt that they had the ability to fight would naturally not decline this opportunity. Being in the Great Wall University and guarding the front line of humanity, all cultivators here were people with the highest awareness. They would certainly understand this point. If the safety of the Great Wall University was breached, the entire human race would encounter a huge threat. The greater their strength, the greater their responsibility. Since this was the case, as the spirit tide dared to attack the Great Wall University, let's make it so that they could come but never return, all to prevent future sources of trouble. Feng Lin was among the crowd. He followed them and headed to the wall. No matter how squeezy it was, his steps never ceased. Junior brother Feng Lin, over here. All of a sudden, a clear voice called out. Up ahead, Zhao Yui wore a figure-hugging battle attire and was surrounded by people. She was waving to him from afar. As the martial queen of the Great Wall University, she was extremely conspicuous given that she was a supreme beauty and her combat strength was one of the strongest among the younger generations. Everyone knew her. The moment she waved her hand and called out, she instantly attracted countless gazes. As the gazes turned over, when they saw that Zhao Yui was waving to Feng Lin, the newbie that recently rose, their faces were all filled with shock. When has these two gotten together? Wasn't the cooperation between them a cooperation of the strong? The competition to gain points for the final battle was getting increasingly intense. At this moment, when everyone was still stunned, Feng Lin had formally gone over to Zhao Yui's side. She and a group of people stood together. These people were all new faces, but their auras were undoubtedly powerful and imposing. Just by standing near them, one would feel that their breaths were impeded. Each of them was at least at the adept realm or above. Their cultivation bases were extremely powerful and they naturally had a bit of arrogance in their hearts. When they saw Feng Lin nearing them, they instinctively cast a judging look at him. When they saw Feng Lin's true face clearly, they couldn't help but be startled. Although they heard of a new member joining the true martial society, none of them had expected the new member to be the #1 freshman Feng Lin. He was the top ranker of the star-level Heaven Chosen rankings. But they weren't excited. They felt worried instead after knowing this. For some reason, a lanky young man who stood at the side of Zhao Yui gazed at Feng Lin with hostility. He wasn't polite at all as he continued, "President, why did you invite this Feng Lin? You must know that the final battle isn't a playground, it's filled with dangers. If we are the slightest bit careless, we would be heavily injured and might even die. Although this Feng Lin can be considered an expert among freshmen, what can he do with his cultivation base? Even for us, it's difficult to protect ourselves. If we bring a burden along, wouldn't that place everyone in danger?" That's right. Even if he was the one that caused the energy core of the mechanical giant to explode, we are now going head-to-head against the spirit tide. Luck would play no opportunity here. President, you have to think thrice. This touched on the difficulty of the final battle. Thus, everyone instantly started questioning, ignoring Feng Lin's existence. Zhao Yui wanted to say something but she stopped herself. She wanted to explain things but she knew it wasn't her place to reveal Feng Lin's secret. She couldn't help but cast a glance toward him. Feng Lin could guess what she wanted to say. He nodded slightly, indicating that it was fine if she wanted to reveal her knowledge. Zhao Yui understood his intentions. Only then did she speak up. Feng Lin is an expert geneticist, and the crimson refinement gunpowder he concocted is extremely effective on the battlefield. Now, he has already managed to concoct an improved version, named the Crimson Gold Gunpowder. With the improved weapon in his hand, the power he can unleash on the battlefield wouldn't be any weaker than a grand adept. He's of great use to our operation and isn't a burden. An improved version of the Crimson Refinement gunpowder. The members of the True Martial Society exchanged mutual glances. They all involuntarily recalled the golden shooting stars they had seen when the solar furnace of the mechanical giant had exploded. The Crimson Refinement gunpowder was the bane of spirit race. It was already powerful enough. Now, there was even an improved version. Its might would surely be even more exaggerated. As the president of a society, Zhao Yui naturally wouldn't lie about such an important matter. At this moment, the majority of people here no longer spoke. Only the young man with the lanky figure still felt some unwillingness to accept this. He coldly smiled. So what even if he has the improved version? Although this item might be really powerful, wouldn't we be able to unleash greater damage with it if it's handed over to us? A mere grand cultivator would find it tough even to protect himself on the battlefield. He might not be able to unleash the true potential of the crimson gold gunpowder. Upon seeing this man was filled with hostility toward him for no reason at all, Feng Lin also felt that something strange was going on. But now when he noticed the nervous attitude of Zhao Yui, he instantly understood. Could this really be so contrived? This man was fond of Zhao Yui, hence, did he view him with hostility because Zhao Yui personally went to invite him to join the True Martial Society? Feng Lin couldn't be bothered to waste words with him. His body shook as he released his aura. His aura was thick, and a corporeal pressure akin to a giant mountain bore down on everyone, causing people here to feel stifled. Vitality stat over 10,000. Zhao Yui and the other members of the True Martial Society were all veterans. Their judgment was shockingly good. Upon feeling the pressure manifested by his aura, their expressions all changed. This was already vitality stat at the adept level. He absolutely had the qualifications to join the final battle. They had nothing to pick on. What made them even more startled was the fact that they could clearly sense Feng Lin's grand cultivator aura. How did he manage to jump levels and achieve a vitality stat of an adept? But this was a secret of Feng Lin, and it wasn't appropriate for them to ask too much. The true fluctuations of his vitality stat were displayed clearly before everyone. His combat strength was clearly equal to the adept realm. Even the lanky young man who spoke out earlier was now speechless when he saw this. Truth trumps all arguments. Feng Lin also retracted his aura when he saw that he had achieved his aims. He stood beside Zhao Yui and silently observed the changes to the battlefield. Right now, combat on the battlefield was still ongoing. Numerous silver-colored figures arced through space like lightning, exuding a feeling of invincibility as the amount of power they unleashed through their moves were unfathomable. The mechanical beasts that were within the energy barrier were all obliterated, becoming ruins floating in the sky. As for the battlefield outside the energy barrier, numerous particle cannons blasted out unceasingly, not stopping even for an instant. The cannon fire created a glaring light that illuminated the dark starry space. The spirit monsters suffered all sorts of attacks, and these injuries caused the spirit tide to ripple unceasingly. Even for formless life forms such as the spirit race, they would also disintegrate under the violence of such attacks. The star fortresses of the Great Wall University joined together. The cannon fire interweaved and formed numerous gigantic webs that were akin to a heavenly net that encompassed everything. There were no gaps at all, and the suppressing effects of the cannon obstructed these spirit monsters from advancing. And now, the battle outside the energy barrier was soon approaching its end. Before these ultimate weapons of the Great Wall University, those mechanical beasts were too inflexible. They were easily crushed like wooden dummies before the powerful techniques and couldn't even retaliate. The tight formation gradually expanded forth. In fact, even those fiercer spirit monsters that made up of the spirit tide could be seen retreating like the waves. Clearly, humanity was inching closer and closer to victory. Everyone held their breaths, their gazes flickered with an unprecedented look of determination. Although the black spirit tide was fearsome, the fact that victory was within their reach gave them all huge amounts of confidence. They wanted nothing more than to rush toward the battlefield to exterminate these spirit monsters completely. Bzz. All of a sudden, an imposing voice rang out in the ears of everyone. The interstellar marshal suddenly stepped out. He activated a holographic projection as his hologram appeared before the eyes of everyone. In the dark starry space, a gigantic object that exuded boundless white light floated in space. It emitted infinite matter and energy. There were 4 dark spheres revolving around it unceasingly, devouring all energy and matter from the universe. This is the white hole, the mother planet of the spirit race. It's where the nest of the spirit race was located. According to investigations, it's currently retreating with great speed. And our current mission for the final battle is to break through the heavy obstruction of the Black Spirit Tide, completely exterminating them outside the Great Wall University. Those who dare to invade the Great Wall University shall be destroyed no matter how far they are. Chapter 432, 10 Heavenly Kings. Those who dare to invade the Great Wall University shall be destroyed no matter how far they are. The imposing voice of the Star Battle Marshal echoed through the air, filled with heaviness and extreme chill, as well as boundless killing intent. If we don't exterminate them all, we will never rest. The voices on the walls roared. Victory for sure. Victory for sure. Victory for sure. However, it was easy to shout words of morale, but it wasn't so easy to achieve true victory. Feng Lin's eyes flickered with coldness when everyone was fighting chaotically around him. He was staring at the white celestial body in the sky. It was a celestial body that had an orbital revolution structure. The center was an extremely dazzling celestial body whose shape was blurry, yet boundless white light radiated forth from it. The high-intensity radiation seemed capable of completely destroying all objects in space. And everywhere the radiation waves passed by, there was only a stretch of white. In the surroundings of the white-colored celestial body, 4 black holes in the shape of spheres revolved unceasingly around it, causing the entire thing to form a tetrahedron. Each side was a triangle, forming an incomparably stable structure. It was not easy to destroy it no matter from which angle. One could tell that it was clearly extraordinary with just a single glance at it. The 4 black holes weren't unfamiliar to Feng Lin. These were the spirit black holes he had encountered before. They had the terrifying special ability to devour cosmic energy. However, what were the 4 spirit black holes guarding? Feng Lin glanced at the white-colored gigantic celestial body as he mused silently. Spirit white hole. At this moment, the Star Battle Marshal continued, the nest of the spirit race, is a terrifying celestial body that has the name of a white hole. It's the other side of a black hole and would spew energy and matter out constantly. And as energy life forms, the spirit race was precisely a strange type of life that's birthed by the white hole. It would produce spirit race members unceasingly. If we want to destroy the spirit race completely, we have to completely destroy this white hole. That is our next mission. This mission is incomparably dangerous, are you all afraid? As he spoke to hear, he suddenly shouted the sentence, "Are you all afraid?" questioning the hearts of people. Afraid? Afraid my foot. If I'm afraid, I'm not a cultivator of humanity. We must let the spirit race know that we humans are not so easily bullied. Daring to come to the Great Wall University? In that case, let's make it so that they can come but not return. White hole. Feng Lin was contemplating this. In cosmology, white holes were strange celestial bodies that corresponded to black holes. The size of a black hole was so vast, capable of devouring all matter, and its attraction force was also sufficient enough to capture the fastest light in the universe, making escape impossible. Hence, it was like a space cave of eternal darkness. Hence, this particular celestial body was named a black hole. As for white holes, their properties were different. Although their mass was also extremely vast, because they had no way to endure the excessive matter of their mass, They would frequently be in a state of eruption, spewing out rays of light and matter. Since the spirit white hole had the same name, it most probably had the same characteristics as well. But this spirit white hole was different from other white holes that spew out basic particles and radiation. This spirit white hole was spewing countless energy lifeforms that were members of the spirit race. In that case, there was a problem. Where did the matter spewed out by the white hole come from? Staring at the revolving black holes around it, Feng Lin had some thoughts in his mind. According to scientific theory, he speculated that both black holes and white holes were two sides of a celestial body. Their insides were connected. The mass of the universe was constant. Black holes would devour matter, and white holes spew them out, forming a sort of balance regarding matter and energy. If not, no matter how much matter the white hole contained, there would come a day where all matter in it would be completely exhausted. Next, we will execute the planetary extermination tactic. This time, your contribution will be assessed by your performance. Your battle achievements will be the rigid standard, and we will use this to select the 10 heavenly kings of the Great Wall University to participate in the hegemony competition of Cosmos universities. The 10 heavenly kings will be the representatives of our university. When these words rang out, another commotion was caused. The eyes of all the cultivators shone with a bright light, filled with excitement and agitation. Even Zhao Yui, who had always been able to maintain her calm, also revealed a different expression. Clearly, the title of the 10 heavenly kings was too moving. The 10 heavenly kings? Feng Lin silently mused. Even the martial queen Zhao Yui was moved by this. From this, one could see that the title was extraordinary. It wasn't simply a title, there must be vast amounts of benefits within too. If not, how could the mere mention of this caused so many people to lose their cool? When Zhao Yui saw Feng Lin furrowing his brows, she understood his puzzlement. She then explained. The 10 heavenly kings are students who received the greatest public recognition from the Great Wall University and Great Wall Army. They are the strongest experts of the younger generations that are approved by all. With the title alone, one would be able to allocate huge amounts of resources and gain many special privileges. Feng Lin was still puzzled, and he couldn't help but ask, why haven't I heard of the selection of the 10 heavenly kings prior to this? Zhao Yui smiled. Because there are many special privileges for the 10 heavenly kings, and the selection isn't simply based on cultivation or strength. It encompasses all aspects including how you use strategy, your level of wisdom, and your battle achievements. During times of peace, there's no fixed criteria for selection. Therefore, it's very tough to choose anyone that can convince the masses no matter what criteria are used. After all, the temptation for the titles is simply too overwhelming. To prevent chaos, the selection wouldn't occur in times of peace. Only during times of war, where heroes emerged, would everyone's potential be stimulated. Battle achievements are one thing that can convince everyone else. Each heavenly king has to slaughter their way out with true capabilities on the battlefield. There's no need to doubt their strength. After becoming one of the 10 heavenly kings, not only would you be able to get large amounts of resources from the university, but your military rank will automatically rise by 1 in 90% of all confidential documents would be made available for you. Zhao Yui revealed many secrets regarding the titles of the 10 heavenly kings. Each of them contained boundless temptation. Feng Lin's eyes shone with a fascinating light. If one was able to become one of these so-called 10 heavenly kings, they would be able to gain countless benefits. No wonder so many people were so excited. The Star Battle Marshal turned his gaze over. When he saw many people exuding their greatest battle intent, he couldn't help but nod. War was a general mobilization. With such high morale, did he even need to worry that their objectives couldn't be accomplished? He then continued in a heavy voice. Registration begins immediately for those who are preparing to participate in the final battle. We will issue the latest battle mecha armor, the Light God Mecha Armor. This product was created by new research that's specifically used to deal with spirit life forms. However, only those participating will be able to receive one. If any of you dares to register and not participate on the battlefield, you will be charged with treason against humanity and be killed with no mercy. As he spoke, his voice was filled with boundless killing intent. There was no mercy at all. The expressions of everyone turned serious, no longer daring to be the slightest bit careless. Now that the marshal even personally warned them, if they still dared to treat this lightly, they would really be courting death. Members of the true martial society are here. Zhao Yui led her members and walked to the front, beginning to register her society's information. So it's you guys. The official in charge of registration clearly knew of Zhao Yui's name. He couldn't help but feel shocked when he also noticed how familiar Feng Lin was. When had this Feng Lin joined the True Martial Society? The True Martial Society suddenly became such a strong team. It seemed like they were intending to seize the #1 position for battle achievements. Anyway, they should be strong enough to contend against the other peak-level teams. Truly, the collision of planets would soon occur, the strong against the strong. With Zhao Yui in the lead, it was impossible even if the members from the True Martial Society wanted to remain inconspicuous. But Feng Lin wasn't bothered at all. He took light god mecha armor he had just received and began experimenting with it. The silver battle attire covered his entire body, and there were no gaps at all. It shone brilliantly, exuding a sense of surrealism that brimmed with the feel of science and technology. Light god mecha armor, number 109, is here to be of service. This is formed from the strongest mecha technology in interstellar space. The particle extinction sword is the bane of the spirit race. In the name of the light god, kill all the members of the spirit race. I pray for your victory and contributions while fighting for humanity. The AI of the mecha armor rang out. Feng Lin followed the instructions and pressed a button on his wrist. Pa. At the next instant, a green sword and a red sword formed from light appeared in both of his hands. High radiation photons were captured using a strong magnetic field, causing them to transform into a corporeal state. BZZ, BZZ, BZZ. The edge of the swords lightly danced about, leaving behind arcs of multicolored light in the air. It was extremely dazzling. The heat produced was enough to completely exterminate all lives. With such a powerful weapon in his hand, everything was now prepared. Only the eastern wind was lacking. Feng Lin turned his gaze toward the battlefield, his eyes were flickering with light. Chapter 433, Breaking Out of the Siege. Their backs were straight and looked like immovable mountains. They were clad in silver armor and adjusted to uniformity, appearing like an army. They knew that there were tigers in the mountains, yet they still persisted in going. This army wasn't going to be shaken so easily. Faintly, an ethereal aura rose from the hearts of everyone and merged as one. This was like a smoke signal made of mental energy that indicated the presence of hostile forces, shooting straight up the clouds. The eyes of everyone were filled with battle intent. Boom, boom, boom. An explosive sound rang out 3 times, and the air trembled. 3 gigantic motherships flew through the air. They were as large as planets and brimmed with the feel of science and technology. Far away, a breathtaking aura gushed over, shaking the stretch of starry space. Even the Great Wall University was trembling slightly from this. Everyone participating in the battle will be given 1 light god mecha armor, and you are to board the ships immediately. The Star Battle Marshal passed like thunder and moved like the wind. He suddenly gave the command. The situation on the battlefield had reached the stage where the deciding battle was about to occur. They couldn't afford to delay, not even for an instant. Seeing everyone boarding the ships and receiving their mecha armor, he gave the general mobilization for war. They were about to move out. Rumble. Army commands were as heavy as mountains. With the command given, the army instantly moved out together, stepping out in uniformity. Their steps were heavy enough to cause mountains to shake. Feng Lin and the others puffed out their chests. They could be said to be the most elite troops of humanity. They followed the line and entered the motherships. Their movements were like the tide surging forth with unstoppable momentum. As all the participants boarded, the door of the motherships closed. The rumbling sounds of the engine could be heard as gusts of ions were being blasted out with power. With a push-off, the three gigantic objects rose into the air, directly flying toward the Black Spirit Tide. Pa! Ripples appeared on the indestructible energy barrier. A large space actually appeared as a path opened up. Upon noticing an opening, the Black Spirit Tide's retreating momentum abruptly stopped. After that, they didn't retreat, choosing to advance instead. They increased their speed, as though they wanted to take advantage of this hard-to-come-by opportunity and stake everything, completely destroying the Great Wall University. However, with the wealth of combat experience the three great interstellar marshals possessed, how could they allow the spirit race to take advantage of this flaw? They roared in unison. Open cannons! The three marshals were each in a mothership as they gave the command. Numerous cannons appeared on the ship. They were all as thick as pillars and began to blast forth cannon fire frenziedly. Ion disintegrating cannon. Star annihilation cannon. Crimson refinement artillery cannon. The artillery barrage was created through interstellar technology and the crimson refinement gunpowder. The might it displayed could shake the starry space, capable of destroying all matter, including space itself. A stretch of whiteness appeared before the eyes of everyone as their ears trembled. They could see and hear nothing. Their visions only recovered after a long time. To their surprise, they saw that the vast Black Spirit Tide now had a gigantic hole right in the middle of their ranks. The cannon fire was undoubtedly extremely effective. But this hadn't ended yet. At the edge of the dark space, countless spirit life forms began to gush forth like the tides, quickly filling up the giant hole that was created. It wasn't easy for them to find an opportunity, thus, there was no way the spirit race would let go of it so easily. Although the amount of cannon fire was great and it was very powerful, in the face of the Black Spirit Tide, which contained billions of spirit life forms, it was still insufficient. The black tides came wave after wave. They were like extremely thick black ink and unable to be dispersed. They were like eternal darkness, devouring all light. The closer the humans got, the number would their scalps be as goosebumps appeared on their skin. Naive. The three marshals coldly laughed. They naturally wouldn't allow the spirit race to succeed. The energy barrier from the mothership was activated to their maximum degree and forcefully blocked up the pathway. The energy barrier continued flowing outwards, extending toward the Black Spirit Tide. Woo, woo, woo. The strange sounds were mixed together with electromagnetic interference. The motherships were like entering a quagmire, their advance speed was impeded greatly, but they didn't stop trying to move forward. Numerous twisting figures already floated unceasingly outside the motherships. They were like ghosts and spirits of mythology, emitting piercing screams to stir up the terror in people's hearts. For those with weaker wills, their bodies involuntarily trembled. How brazen! The three marshals weren't shocked, but were angered instead. They roared loudly, "Open the combat cabin." Yes, marshals. The AIS of the motherships replied instantly. The Star Battle Marshal turned and faced everyone as he roared, "All of you, look carefully. Next, we will display the best combat method to deal with alien races." The combat battle of the interstellar marshals? Fong Lin and the others couldn't help but feel their hearts stirring when they heard this. To be able to become a marshal of the Great Wall University, every one of them was a top expert with a high cultivation base. Their mythological genes had awakened to an unfathomable degree, akin to elite kings. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that they had enough strength to suppress a region in the starry space by themselves. With such a supreme expert displaying their own combat method, this was truly an extremely rare chance. Just by observing, it would surely spark insights in them, making it so that they would gain a deeper understanding and inspiration for their own cultivation. Just this point alone already caused countless people to feel excited. Everyone involuntarily held their breaths as they stared at the three powerful marshals. Boom! A huge platform suddenly appeared above one of the motherships, displaying a semi-open space with countless mysterious patterns inlaid with spirit crystals. The spiritual chi was extracted through technology from the crystals, permeated the atmosphere in the semi-open space. This is the latest crystal technology that was developed by humanity. It is currently in the application stage. By using spiritual chi to stimulate mythological genes, it can allow our genetic powers to be enhanced by over 2 times. This is a fusion of science and mythology gene and is filled with boundless mysteries. Although this technology is still not stable now, you can very well imagine how powerful this would be once it's fully developed. It would surely be the strongest killing trump card in the hands of us, humans. The marshal equipped his battle attire calmly. He didn't panic at all as he stared at the surging black spirit tide. Crystal technology? Feng Lin's heart also stirred with excitement. This technology was the fusion of mythological genes and science. Science was used to extract spiritual chi to strengthen and enhance the power of mythological genes. This is particularly valuable because it couldn't be replicated and could only be used by humans. Just this point alone was extremely hard to come by. From this, one could tell that once this technology was open to the public, it would be one of the most powerful killing weapons for humanity when they fought against the other alien races. The three marshals stood on their respective motherships, staring straight at the black spirit tide surging over. They showed no signs of retreat and abruptly laughed valiantly. Then they suddenly exploded into action. Supernova nuclear explosion. The first to act was the youngest Star River Marshal. On the outside, he looked like a scholarly teacher. His hands moved unceasingly and formed gestures. Resplendent starlight then erupted forth from his palms, revolving unceasingly around him. The light was dazzling to the extreme, like the projection created by a constellation. Absolute Frost Domain. Next, the Star Domain Marshal acted. He was a tall old man yet didn't show any signs of fragility at all. His face was solemn, and countless ice crystals manifested from him. His entire person became a statue of ice. This hadn't concluded yet. Boundless frost extended forth, freezing all particles that crumbled after they were frozen. In the end, even space itself was frozen solid, causing blue-black cracks to manifest, akin to the structure of ice crystals. Chapter 434, Slaughtering the Spirit Race. Outer space was boundlessly vast and filled with countless wonders. And supernova explosion was considered one of the rare wonders. The Star River Marshal's genetic power was akin to the scene of a supernova at the end of its life. The moment he acted, an impressive scene manifested immediately. When he propped his hands up, countless particles collided, causing dazzling rays of light to emit. The light continuously expanded. This scene was like the splitting apart of chaos at the beginning of time, resembling the true explosion of a supernova. The powerful impact gushed out. Everything embroiled within, be it energy particles or matter, was disintegrated into their original forms. Countless monsters from the spirit race screamed miserably as they were engulfed by the light. After that, they instantly began to disintegrate. In another area, the space was frozen solid into a blue-black crystal. The tendrils of the frost continued to extend outwards, freezing everything it came in contact with, creating a stretch of ice statues. This was an extreme state of the universe where the temperature was closing in on absolute zero. Even the smallest microparticles would enter a state of absolute stillness. This was the coldest state in the universe where all laws and material structures lost their meaning. Ka. Countless spirit race monsters were directly frozen, revealing their original shape, becoming ice statues that were fantastic oddities of every description. But even so, the malevolence they displayed when they were still alive remained on their expressions. The black spirit tide suffered heavy casualties and showed signs of an avalanche of collapse. The three motherships moved into a formation. A mothership was at the center with the two others in the wings positions. At the wings' positions, the power they unleashed cleansed the battlefield, destroying the spirit race monsters. The surviving spirit race monsters all rushed toward the mothership in the center wave after wave. The Star Battle Marshal was there, yet he showed no signs of panic at all. Since he was the Star Battle Marshal and dared to take the initiative to move the army out to fight with the alien races, his own strength was naturally strongest among the marshals. In fact, in the entire Great Wall Army and University, his strength was only second to the headmaster. Upon seeing the remaining black spirit tide not retreating but rushing toward him instead, it was like he felt a great humiliation. Anger flashed across his face. Treating me as a soft persimmon? Positive-negative tyrant punch. Boom. His left fist radiated a vast, positive energy with the light of lightning continuing to fester. His right fist was cloaked in darkness and gloom, like the dark side of the universe, devouring all light. The Star Battle Marshal roared as his fists suddenly collided. This symbolized the collision between the positive and negative energy in the universe, causing yin and yang to mix. Sizzle. At the instant his fists collided, numerous purple-colored electric snakes shot out. They were as slender as gossamer yet as sharp as thorns that continued blasting forward. Everywhere they passed, regardless of objects or spirit race monsters, all were penetrated through. Their most basic particles completely crumbled. They were destroyed from the microscopic level. On the surface, there were no terrifying phenomena that manifested. But the tyranny of such power far surpassed the imagination. The people in the mothership were all dumbstruck for a long time, deeply stunned. When Feng Lin saw this scene, his eyes gleamed with a bright light. His spirit force was extremely powerful and he could comprehend things on a deeper level. He faintly discovered that the powers unleashed by the three marshals had already shaken up the base essence of the universe. With a lift of their hands, they had the power to split apart heavens and open up new earth. Humans could actually control such power? Everyone including Feng Lin felt their horizons broadened greatly. It was like a window akin to a brand new world opened up in their minds. This was also the wondrous part of mythological genes. They possessed the possibility of limitless evolution. Even a mere human body could ascend to the peak of the starry space. The three marshals displayed their might, destroying large amounts of enemies with a single move. Everywhere their power spread to, that space would be emptied. The mothership advanced with increased momentum, pressing forward courageously. The spirit race also understood the goal of humans. They frenziedly swarmed over, blocking their advance. They wouldn't allow humans to get near their mother planet. The white hole was their nest. Once that was destroyed, the entire tribe of spirit race that was connected to the white hole would be completely exterminated. Everyone, enter the battle cabins and prepare to activate the full combat mode, the Star Battle Marshal gave the order. Feng Lin and the rest didn't dare to be slow. They respectively started to move, wearing the light god mecha armor and entering the battle cabins. This was a semi-open space that faced the outer space directly. The technology was used to stabilize their bodies. Thick and intense spiritual chi was pumped into the mecha armor via scientific tubes. Feng Lin and the others only felt a current of warmth entering their bodies. All their genes were completely stimulated. It felt like a stream of lava churning inside them, wanting nothing more than to gush out, destroying everything before them. Vacuum domain. Particle storm. Sun fist. Genetic power in coordination with stances of martial arts. All sorts of unique abilities were displayed, causing the outer space to descend into chaos. Anything that was blasted by the powers would definitely crumble apart completely. These powerful cultivators from the Great Wall University acted together, instantly creating an airtight offense. Under the leadership of the three marshals, they clashed together with the Black Spirit Tide, continuing to defeat their opponents, slaughtering the spirit race monsters with ease. Turtle Snake Tai Chi. A clear shout rang out beside Feng Lin. Chi and blood towered up into the sky, forming the shape of a black tortoise that threw its head back, howling at the sky. It opened its mouth as a vortex was formed. With a single breath, it devoured several hundreds of spirit race monster. Paw, paw, paw. Its giant snake tail continued to whip around. There was a fearsome-looking python head at the end of the tail, baring its fangs and biting unceasingly. The python head that was formed from chi and blood was also an energy life form. It was filled with positive attribute energy and was just so exactly the complete opposite when compared to the spirit race. The spirit race monsters that were bitten were instantly torn apart, disintegrated from the fiery chi and blood. On the gigantic black tortoise, Zhao Yui stood straight on its back, staring up at the sky. She was like a goddess who descended to the mortal world, exuding an aura that struck fear in the hearts of people. She suddenly moved. Her hands drew circles in the air as she displayed Tai Chi. As her hands moved, the diagrams and patterns on the black tortoise's back began to move, forming a yin-yang duality, for phases, 8 trigram pattern that resembled a black and white millstone. No matter how many spirit race monsters rushed at her, all of them were crushed into pieces. For a time, she directly faced tens of thousands of spirit race monsters, and she wasn't in any way inferior to them. She was truly the number one of the younger generation, exuding an aura of invincibility, drawing the attention of everyone. Feng Lin stood at the side. He naturally didn't want to be a burden. His spirit was like a sword. His spirit force became corporeal and transformed into countless formless blades that respectively slashed down, destroying the spirit race's thoughts and will. Swish, swish, swish. Numerous golden spheres shot out like bullets through the air, flying freely toward their targets. Everywhere the crimson gold cinnabar pill passed by, the spirit race monsters would be ruthlessly penetrated as the energy within them ignited, causing their bodies to completely explode. Although his cultivation limited his strength and he couldn't compare to Zhao Yui yet, with the aid of the crimson gold cinnabar pill, his performance wasn't inferior to the vast majority of others on the battlefield. Only a few people performed better than him. However, this was just the start of the final battle. Feng Lin wasn't in a hurry, he wasn't hasty at all. The 3 motherships cooperated well with each other. They were like sharp arrowheads, breaking through the obstruction of the spirit race as they flew toward the depths of the starry space. Gradually, the dark space ahead was filled with a stretch of silvery white light that caused the surrounding clusters of stars to lose their colors, shining upon numerous malevolent silhouettes. Each one of these silhouettes was like a gigantic beast, malevolent and fiendish. Earlier, Feng Lin and the others saw the spirit white hole appearing before them with the 4 spirit black holes revolving at its side. Now that they were nearing it, they could see gigantic monsters that were like the most loyal guards, guarding their nest against danger. Chapter 435, Entering the Mother Planet. The gigantic mother planet floated in space with black holes surrounding it. It emitted a vast white light filled with all sorts of powerful radiation that manifested electromagnetic disturbance. The extreme white light engulfed the light from the surrounding stars, yet at the same time, it reflected numerous malevolent figures hiding in the shadows of the universe. Some of them resembled giant pythons, some resembled giant whales, and even more resembled octopi. They all had different forms, but the aura they exuded was of the same pure malevolence. They were like monsters in the myths and legends, sinister and terrifying to the extreme. Are these the true appearances of the spirit race? The name is really apt. Truly terrifying. Many people didn't have spirit force and couldn't sense the true nature of the spirit race. This was their first time seeing their true bodies, and they couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. And as the 3 motherships continuously moved nearer, the white hole also began to react by sending out a flood of light. Those gigantic spirit beasts also began to move. Powerful energy fluctuations radiated from them, forming shockwaves that blasted over. The outer space resembled the lonely sea. Countless energy waves rose, gushing over and over. These spirit beasts also directly rushed over, relying on their gigantic size. However, after what they had been through and given that Feng Lin and the others were elites of the Great Wall University, how would they be afraid? Under the enhancement of crystal technology, their strength was augmented greatly and their confidence surged as well. They weren't weak at all and faced the spirit race head-on directly, completely blocking the shockwaves. The three motherships were even more tyrannical. Their size was equal to planets, and as they moved forth, even for the gigantic spirit beasts, they were like ants before the motherships. The motherships forcefully opened up a path. They barged through all obstacles. The spirit mother planet was already within their sights. BZZ BZZ BZZ. The mother planet of the spirit race seemed to have detected something. It shimmered with light and pulsed with a cadence, seemingly sending out some unfathomable signals. The four black holes vibrated intensely, emitting a corporeal radiation that formed a colorless force field in the shape of a tetrahedron, which enveloped the white hole. Whoosh whoosh. The motherships had their own energy barriers. They rushed forward without fear. However, contrary to expectations, both energy barriers ended in mutual destruction upon contact, creating resplendent sparks. The external shell of the mothership instantly started to crumble away. Clearly, the external shell was constructed from the toughest material created by interstellar science, yet it was corroded away by the colorless energy barrier, crumbling completely and not leaving anything behind. It was extremely bizarre and terrifying. Warning. Warning. Discovered antimatter energy barrier. Do not get any nearer, do not get any nearer, the AI let out loud warnings to remind everyone. It was actually an antimatter energy barrier. It was truly hard to deal with that. When the three marshals heard that, all of them immediately frowned. It was truly exceedingly difficult to deal with. Since the universe had matter, it naturally also had antimatter. Antimatter would usually have similar microstructures with the matter, but their properties were completely different. Once matter came in contact with antimatter, there would instantly be a mutual destructive reaction occurring, causing a large amount of energy to be released. This was an even more microscopic attack compared to particle storms. All substances, no matter how tough they were formed from matter. Upon encountering an antimatter energy shield, the mutual destruction effect would occur instantly. The material would lose all meaning and had no obstruction power. This point wasn't exaggerated at all. Antimatter by itself represented the darkest power in the universe. Although the technology that constructed the motherships were extremely advanced, their level hadn't reached the level of invincibility. Upon facing such a thin layer of antimatter barrier, they actually had no way to continue advancing or they would be destroyed completely. After all, the spirit race was a race whose evolution degree far surpassed humanity. Their technology was also above that of humanity. Earlier, the Great Wall University depended on the energy barrier network of the star fortresses to block the billions of spirit race monsters outside. Unfortunately, the spirit race also had their own trump cards. This thin layer of antimatter energy barrier was like an unbreachable heavenly moat, there was no way to get through it. For a time, the humans couldn't help but feel helpless. The three marshals were also muttering to themselves irresolutely. Although the motherships were constructed from the most advanced technology of humans, they wouldn't be able to break through. In that case, only a single method was left. They had to use their genetic powers to forcefully break apart the antimatter energy barrier, allowing the human cultivators to enter. But even with the joint forces of the three marshals, it was impossible for them to create an opening large enough for the three motherships to enter. Now, they could only let the cultivators exit the motherships and directly fight in outer space. Without the defense of the motherships, they would be exposed in outer space, near the nest of the spirit race. They would definitely be surrounded by enemies, the danger would be extremely high. But since things had developed to this extent, they had no other solutions. Since the people here dared to participate in this final battle and wanted to obtain great rewards, they were also prepared to risk their lives and walk the line between life and death. All of the cultivators here felt the same way. Since this was a real battlefield, how could there be any talk of safety? The Star Battle Marshal decisively gave the order, "Everyone, equip your mecha armor. Immediately exit the mothership and join the battle." Have they reached this step? Feng Lin had already anticipated something like this would happen. He didn't feel too surprised. It was just that he didn't imagine this step would arrive so quickly. After being startled for a moment, he instantly came to his senses and checked his equipment. Zhao Yu then spoke, "When we leave the mothership and enter combat later, we have to stay together and try not to be separated. Only by doing so can our powers be combined together, aiding us in offense and defense, and we wouldn't be overrun so easily. The battlefield would be extremely chaotic, so we have to do our best to protect ourselves before we can reap the huge benefits and contributions." Everyone here was a newbie when it came to a war of this magnitude. They naturally understood this logic, all of them nodded respectively. After that, the door of the motherships opened as cultivators clad in mecha armor moved out, entering outer space. Next we will blast through the antimatter energy barrier, giving you all space to enter the Spirit Race star system or the white hole. Although this mother planet is terrifying and isn't something you guys can handle, we just need you to do all you can to kill the 4 spirit black holes revolving around it. Once the stabilizing structure of the spirit star system is broken, the white hole would lose all defense and we will personally act to destroy it. However, don't throw your lives stupidly just to gain contribution points. When he spoke, the voice of the Star Battle Marshal was filled with warning. Although the battlefield was dangerous, as one of the marshals of the Great Wall University, he had an obligation to remind the younger generation. But as to whether they would listen to him or not, that was another matter entirely. But in reality, everyone understood this. This was something even the interstellar marshals felt was terrifying. They naturally wouldn't stupidly court death. Let's begin. The 3 marshals joined forces and attacked. Bright light radiated from their palms as boundless power from their mythological genes gathered and gushed out, wanting to engulf everything before them. The power of mythological genes was considered transcendent powers. This was something neither matter nor antimatter could affect. The comprehensions of the 3 marshals with regard to their respective mythological genes were naturally incomparable deep. Since science and technology couldn't destroy the antimatter barrier, they would use their transcendent powers to break it. As they attacked, they could see that it was effective. Ripples could be seen on the antimatter energy barrier, and a huge hole was opened up forcefully, allowing people to enter. Split into 4 groups and target each of the black holes. Try your best to kill them and leave the white hole to us, the Star Battle Marshal gave another order. Military commands were as heavy as mountains. The response from the other cultivators rang out in the surrounding. After that, all the cultivators rushed into the opening like celestial maidens scattering flowers, each group moving to their respective targets. Although their targets were the spirit black holes capable of devouring the energy of the universe, they felt no fear at all. Everything was for humanity. Chapter 436, like a hot knife through butter. The black hole was just before their eyes. Darkness was everywhere. This hole was capable of devouring all matter and energy, even light was devoured completely. The spirit black holes were truly the weapons of wars from the spirit race. If it was the Feng Lin of the past, he naturally wouldn't dare to clash head-on against them. But now, he was already completely different. His vitality stat had exceeded 10,000, and his combat strength was comparable to the adept realm. This was sufficient to guarantee that he had the capabilities to protect himself at the very least. In addition to a bunch of comrades that was even stronger than him, it wasn't an impossible thing for them to kill the spirit black hole. And Feng Lin's true source of confidence lay in the crimson gold cinnabar pill he personally concocted. As a unique pill that was an advanced catalyst for energy reactions, this cinnabar pill was the bane of the spirit race. An energy body could allow the spirit race to ignore the restrictions of a material body. Therefore, they were immune to all material attacks. But because their body structure was made up solely of energy, once their flaw was discovered, they would encounter energy attacks that could kill or maim them on the microscopic level. They would instantly lose their combat strength or even their lives. Feng Lin was together with Zhao Yui and the others. Their light god mecha armor emitted resplendent flames as they sped through the air. Their target was none other than the spirit black hole at the leftmost position of the spirit star system, white hole. Roar, howl, shriek. Waves of violent electromagnetic ions gushed over, resembling roars of anger. It instantly caused the signal of the armors to become scrambled. Right now, only an irritating buzzing sound could be heard within their ears. Be careful. Zhao Yui stood at the forefront. She called out a warning and then clenched her fist, materializing two fiery pure white swords in her hands as she displayed a martial stance. Feng Lin and the others also had solemn expressions. They all held the light swords in their hands. Then, the light in front of them began to distort as numerous gigantic formless figures wanted to surround them from all directions. Each of them was a gigantic spirit beast that was tough to see with the naked eye. The light from their bodies gathered rapidly, resembling free-moving biological creatures that shot out electromagnetic cannonball, producing violent waves of energy that blasted forward. Rumble. Numerous thick energy pillars were blasted out. The beams of energy unceasingly intersected in the air, wanting to destroy everything before them. They wanted their attacks to completely engulf all humans who dared to barge into their spirit star system. Kill. The sounds of killing echoed through the air. Sizzle. Sword shadows ruthlessly slashed down, continuously slicing the thick energy pillars apart. They then reversed the flow and gushed forth like tides with ferocious momentum. All cultivators spread out in the air like the flower petals scattered by a celestial maiden. They formed their own small teams and began to clash against the gigantic spirit beasts. Numerous gigantic bodies churned and rolled unceasingly in space, causing a disturbance so great like the furious surging of sea waves. Chaos was everywhere. Split open for me. A shout rang out, followed by a sharp light sword that directly pierced into the body of a gigantic beast, tearing it apart from top to bottom. A giant body was split in twain from head to tail, and corporeal rainbow-colored energy gushed forth, resembling boiling blood spraying outwards. Feng Lin propped with his hands and activated his Monkey King domain hurriedly. It transformed into a transparent barrier that guarded him. He then ventured onto the battlefield and began clashing chaotically against the gigantic spirit beasts. Although the bodies of these spirit race monsters were formless and tough to see with the naked eye, they couldn't escape from Feng Lin's spiritual perception. The Monkey King domain would isolate an entire area and obstruct all invasion of external energy. The light sword in Feng Lin's hand brandished and waved about, transforming into millions of beams of sword light that shot everywhere. The light god mecha armor was constructed from the most advanced technology in the interstellar era, and the divine light sword was forged from dark energy. It had no material form yet contained the attribute to extinguish everything. Everywhere the sword edge passed by, the spirit race monsters would be split into twain and sliced into pieces. With such a powerful weapon in his hand, Feng Lin was successful in all his endeavors. His wrist flexed and the sword light danced around him, forming a complete zone of isolation with extreme sharpness. When the spirit race monsters moved near, they would instantly be shredded. Zhao Yui and the others weren't in any way inferior as well. They had their backs to each other and protected the weak points of their comrades, supporting each other in offense and defense. Together, they dealt with enemy attacks from all directions while continuing with the slaughter. By combining strengths, their defense was as secure as a city protected by a steel wall and a moat of boiling water. Their group continued advancing forward, like a drill drilling into the black spirit tide, reversing the flow. Everywhere they passed by, the enemies would explode and disperse like smoke, transforming into chaotic energy that spread everywhere. Ong, ong, ang. 3 powerful blasts of electromagnetic current suddenly shot over. The vast shadow of the spirit black hole enveloped Feng Lin, Zhao Yui, and the rest, intent on suppressing them. The mouth of the black hole was opened wide as a powerful absorption force manifested, wanting to devour Feng Lin and everyone else completely. Give it your all to kill the gigantic spirit beasts. Don't retreat. Zhao Yui commanded, not expressing fear at all. She didn't choose to retreat and advanced instead, taking the lead and rushing forward. When everyone heard that, their expressions turned solemn as they followed behind her closely. The three gigantic spirit beasts rushed over from all directions, their movements caused the space around the area to churn. Feng Lin and the others were within the area. They were like small boats on the vast ocean, enduring the intense storm as they trembled violently. They stimulated their genetic power to the greatest degree, focusing on defense and increasing the stability of their bodies. Scatter. Zhao Yui's hand heavily waved down and everyone instantly scattered, avoiding the attacks, transforming into points of starlight. The light sword in their hands unleashed a barrage of attacks to the gigantic spirit beasts, intending to overwhelm them. True Martial 7 Interception Sword. Holy Cross Judgment Sword Art. Meteor Sword Rain. The cultivation bases of these people were at the very least at the adept level, and they were all well versed in all sorts of genetic martial arts. Their expertise in sword arts naturally wouldn't be lacking either. With the light swords in their hands, they instantly unleashed all sorts of ferocious sword attacks in the air that resonated with each other, causing sword chi to flood the area and slash everything in their way. The gigantic spirit beasts might be extremely fierce, but under the barrage of attacks, they seemed stiff and inflexible. They were directly injured heavily, causing them to howl in anger. Bzz. Feng Lin's hands ruthlessly gripped his sword as he channeled his heart monkey force frenziedly into it. The 3-meter-long light sword was strengthened and expanded like a balloon with air blown into it, becoming a gigantic sword over 30 meters long, expanding by 10 times. The heart monkey force used idealistic force to influence the physical world, enhancing its target. Silver light then flashed through the air. A gigantic spirit beast, because of its inflexible movements, was instantly hit by the attack. A thin crack appeared on its body. In the end, it was split into twain by the sword attack, transforming into a torrent of energy as it exploded violently. A group of spirit monsters and gigantic spirit beasts were killed by the energy explosion, causing a huge hole to appear within their ranks. Swish, swish, swish. Feng Lin wasn't indecisive at all. Numerous small golden spheres that were akin to the constellations in the air revolved around him. These were all the crimson gold cinnabar pills. With the drive from his spirit force, they shot out in a frenzy akin to bullets. The moment the spirit race monsters were penetrated by it, they instantly exploded, becoming a ball of crimson golden flames that erupted like fireworks. Everyone used their own methods. They cut through the spirit tide like a hot knife through butter as they continued advancing forward. Feng Lin stood at the forefront of the team. His gaze was serene, reflecting the shadow that existed in the gap of darkness that was the spirit black hole. A moment later, he directly rushed forward, moving toward it. Chapter 437, Clash of the Strong. Attention. Attention. Energy is rapidly being exhausted. The light god mecha armor flashed with a piercing red light as the sound of loud warnings filled the air. In the boundless space, a hole of darkness floated before their eyes, and the more they got nearer to it, the closer they felt it was. Even their breaths would turn to ice, as though the temperature in their body was being rapidly absorbed away. Darkness occupied their vision. The tension was so heavy that it could drive people mad. The monotony of darkness seemed to become the sole color of the universe, and it felt so oppressive that people were breathless. Through the correspondence between the mecha armors, Feng Lin could clearly hear that his comrades were panting. Although they were already mentally prepared in their hearts before they entered the battlefield, when true danger arrived, it was still very difficult for people to maintain their cool-headedness. Being mentally prepared was a completely different thing compared to personally experiencing it. When one was personally facing a spirit black hole that could devour all energy, it was inevitable for them to feel some fear in their hearts. Their movements would also slow down due to this. However, Phong Lin focused his gaze and swiftly recovered his calmness. After all, this wasn't his first time clashing against a spirit black hole. Back then during the devil training, he had encountered the ambush of the spirit race and had once led a group of newbies to flee for their lives under the pursuit of a spirit black hole. In fact, he had even managed to overturn the situation with his Crimson Refinement Cinnabar pill, forcefully opening up a path of survival and turning the impossible into the possible. Now, there was even less reason for him to feel fear. He abruptly spoke, his voice like metals and stones falling onto the ground. Let's attack swiftly. The spirit black hole can replenish itself through devouring energy. Thus, we have to be decisive as it would only mean more trouble if we delay. After that, he didn't waste any more words. His hands both held onto a light sword tightly as he cleaved a spirit monster that rushed his way apart. After that, he took a step and leaped into the air. Under the aid of the heart monkey force, he activated his skill. His body somersaulted through the air, and a magical cloud resembling Sun Wukong's somersault cloud appeared beneath his feet, transforming him into a beam of light and shot toward the spirit black hole. Kill. With a heavy sound, their light swords grew increasingly longer and pierced through many of the spirit race monsters, treating them like kebabs. All of them gradually exploded and dispersed. But the nearer they got to the black hole, the greater the absorption force became. At this point, their gigantic swords were affected and began to bend. They were gradually absorbed and destroyed. The spirit black hole intensely expanded and contracted as a powerful radiation force gushed forth from it. Phong Lin's eyes narrowed. At the next instant, his mecha armor was blasted by countless photons, and it felt like he had fallen into the sun and was being baptized over and over again. His entire person was being flung out. He kept somersaulted and finally regained his balance with great difficulty. However, sparks could already be seen emitting from all parts of his mecha armor. It had suffered heavy damage. Warning. Warning. Encountering a powerful radiation impact. Energy loss of 20% with a damage index of 31%. Please pay attention to dodging. The mecha armor flashed with piercing red light, sounding off a warning. The spirit black hole was the spirit black hole after all. With a single strike, Phong Lin and his mecha armor were both heavily injured and damaged. His face was flushed. He gritted his teeth and swallowed the sweet taste at the back of his throat. Let's go at it together. Zhao Yu shouted. Phong Lin's actions also caused the others to wake up. Now that things had come to this point, how could they feel fear? Could it be that they couldn't even compare to a tiny and inconsequential grand cultivator like Phong Lin? When they thought of their instinctive fear earlier, they could feel burning shame on their cheeks. The light god mecha armors were extremely effective when it came to killing ordinary spirit monsters. However, if their energy was absorbed by a spirit black hole, even the mecha armors would be powerless. The energy reserves of the mecha armor rapidly dwindled. The light swords that had been extremely effective before were now devoid of energy, becoming completely useless. In order not to waste energy, they decisively shut down their light swords and activated their genetic powers, rushing at the spirit black hole head-on. Black Tortoise Tai Chi. Angelic Holy Cut. Meteor Shooting Star. Genetic powers intersected with each other in the air, causing the area to twist and warp, manifesting numerous scenes. Chi and blood were like fire, transforming into a gigantic black tortoise that sat there in space. The body was that of a turtle with a snake head as the tail. The genetic martial art was unleashed to perfection, causing all the spirit monsters to crumble apart when it clashed against the black turtle. At the same time, the holy light filled with sacred energy purified everything, leaving no residue at all. It was a complete contrast to the darkness of the black hole. Lastly, thousands upon thousands of gigantic meteors the size of planets arced through space like shooting stars smashing downwards. Each of them had the weight of millions of kilograms, brimming with unstoppable momentum, intent on suppressing everything. With Zhao Yui at the lead, everyone no longer held back and unleashed their genetic powers to their full effects. Energy torrents were formed, causing the entire space to shake. Although the spirit black hole was terrifying, as long as it still remained in the same space, it couldn't help but tremble from the intensity of powers here. Cracks instantly appeared on its gigantic body. A huge maw opened up, causing radiation to flood forth. It exuded anger and violence, showing that this spirit black hole was also a unique cosmic life form. Its state of life was beyond human imagination. The boundaries of the black hole suddenly lit up, illuminated by an extremely bright but strange halo of light. Even for black holes that absorbed everything in the universe, it didn't mean that they wouldn't leak energy. They would release radiation any time. The red light that was filled with radiation looked to be powerless, but upon shining on the bodies of people, everyone instantly felt their flesh and blood beginning to mutate. Feng Lin's sharp senses instantly sensed it. He could feel a strange itch on his skin, like something bad just happened. However, his stone monkey body was extremely tough as his body was already strengthened to the max. With his will, a faint silvery white light covered his skin, resembling the luster of jade. This light covering his entire body was seamless, isolating all other external energies. Sadly, his other comrades weren't as lucky as him. Miserable screams rang out. Many people clutched their faces as they howled in pain. Blisters began to erupt like hives on their skin, rotting away and instantly becoming cancerous. Humans of the interstellar era couldn't be considered universe life forms. And so, there were too many things in the universe that could threaten their lives. Under the strong radiation, their cells instantly turned cancerous. Unless they had awakened body-strengthening type genes, they wouldn't be able to endure such intense harm. The spirit black hole released the radiation silently in all frequencies, catching everyone unaware. Even the light god mecha armors weren't able to block it. The attacks of everyone were instantly suppressed as their movements slowed. They had no choice but to use their genetic force to resist the cancerous transformation to their bodies. This can't continue on. Upon seeing the situation turning grim, Feng Lin's hands spread out. Monkey King Domain. His domain was instantly expanded to the greatest degree, forming a giant barrier of 30 meters in radius, enveloping everyone within. With this miraculous domain that isolated all external energy, the pressure on everyone was alleviated momentarily. Everyone stared in shock at Feng Lin's floating figure ahead. They didn't expect him to have such a wondrous ability to control energy, which allowed him to clash head-on with the spirit black hole. This wasn't something an ordinary mythology gene could accomplish. The last bits of underestimation and disregard in their hearts for Feng Lin vanished completely. However, Feng Lin naturally didn't bother about it at this moment. Rush together. The energy of the black hole is endless, and things would only get more troublesome the more we drag things on. As the sound of his voice faded, he wasted no words and transformed into a beam of light, rushing over. With the Monkey King domain, Feng Lin actually exuded an aura of unstoppable momentum when he rushed forth alone. Chapter 438, Destroying a Spirit Black Hole Once Again. The formless domain allowed him to control his surrounding space. It was invisible and had no form, yet it became a true barrier that enveloped a group of people protectively within, blocking the onslaught of radiation. Feng Lin took the lead. Ions ejected from beneath his feet as his body transformed into a beam of light that rushed straight toward the black hole. Zhao Yui and the others followed closely behind. Each of them unleashed their own genetic powers, forming a powerful formation. Countless spirit monsters rushed from all directions, but they were all instantly shredded. After being able to catch a breath from the intense radiation, Zhao Yui and the others naturally wouldn't waste such an opportunity. They were still the elites among the elites. With their combined force, they instantly exuded a momentum that could tear through everything with absurd ease. Although those spirit beasts with gigantic bodies were terrifying, their movements were as slow as dummies, and they couldn't resist at all. With Feng Lin in the lead, all of them, without realizing it, was already directly before the spirit black hole. The light god mecha armor was as expected of something constructed from the most advanced technology of the interstellar era. It allowed them to move freely through outer space, granting them fair conditions to fight against the spirit lifeforms. The body of the black hole was extremely vast, akin to a small planet. Moreover, its destructive might was evidently not weak at all. Boundless absorption force gushed forth, targeted at the incoming figures. Once anyone got drawn into the vortex, not even their bones would remain. They would never be able to see the sun again. Feng Lin didn't know what sort of methods the others had to kill the spirit black hole. What he knew was that no matter what trump cards they had, the greatest weapon against the black hole was still the crimson gold cinnabar pills he concocted. After all, he had depended on the lower-grade crimson refinement cinnabar pill to kill a spirit black hole before. 108 cycles cinnabar pill formation. As this thought flashed through his mind, Feng Lin instantly acted. His hands formed gestures, performing intricate dances as dreamlike as butterflies. Swish, swish, swish. Numerous crimson gold cinnabar pills revolved around him unceasingly, resembling a cluster of stars. 108 of them formed a tight formation, and fiery energy continued to flow from them. Go. Feng Lin stabbed out with his finger. The cinnabar pills shot forth into the dark space, getting increasingly closer to their target. They moved with the speed of lightning, leaving behind golden afterimages. All the cinnabar pills blasted into the black hole. The situation appeared to be doused in silence, but all of a sudden, a loud sound rang out as a change occurred. Explode. As his voice rang out, an explosive boom echoed through the air with the intensity of a violent storm. The black hole trembled violently as golden flames manifested within it. Electromagnetic fluctuations gushed out and the frequency kept changing, revealing white noise that brimmed with pain and anger. Zhao Yui and the others could clearly sense this, and were all shocked and surprised. Feng Lin had actually heavily injured an opponent like the spirit black hole in a single strike. The power of the golden cinnabar pills was truly, as Feng Lin had stated, well deserving their reputation. Their might was truly terrifying. With such a powerful weapon in their hands, it would be much easier to kill the spirit black hole compared to what they had imagined. And everyone naturally took this chance to unleash their killing moves right after Feng Lin heavily injured the spirit black hole, wanting to finish the black hole off in one fell swoop. Poo, pew, pew. The black hole abruptly contracted its body, using large amounts of black-colored matter to surround the golden flames as it spat them out. The black hole shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was soon one size smaller than before, as it used the tactic of a lizard breaking its tail to protect the rest of its body, protecting its core from injury. Feng Lin had unleashed 108 crimson gold cinnabar pills in one go, yet their effects were minimal due to this. His expression sank. If this continued on, he had to expend all his cinnabar pills before he could forcefully kill this black hole. If this were the case, there would be no way for him to establish dominance based on his current cultivation base, and it would be much more difficult for him to farm contribution points. Feng Lin naturally wouldn't be so silly and waste his chance just to show off. Right now, the cultivation bases and techniques of Zhao Yui and company were above him. With them around, why must he fight alone and land himself in danger? Let's act together and injure the black hole even deeper. With the crimson gold cinnabar pills and all of our joint attacks, it would be sufficient to kill it completely. Feng Lin spoke. His figure turned as he evaded the absorption force from the spirit black hole to join the others again. Zhao Yui nodded lightly. She also knew that this situation was very dangerous. They couldn't afford to hesitate too much. Although the might of the golden cinnabar pills was powerful, It was impossible to use them to counter a monster like the spirit black hole completely. Everyone had to combine their strength to search for more of the black hole's flaws before they could exterminate it. Don't hold back. Act decisively and ruthlessly. We must open a path for our other comrades to enter the spirit star system. Zhao Yue commanded. The others all acknowledged her words and began to use their trump cards, holding nothing back and frenziedly attacking the black hole. Xinwu Law Image. Zhao Yue's body trembled slightly as fiery heat radiated from her, along with her qi and blood. The energies combined into a corporeal body, becoming a gigantic law image about 1,000 meters tall. This Xinwu law image stood upon a turtle with a snake as its tail, exuding a sense of majesty. It was like how a deity descended to the mortal world in the legends. The fluctuations of qi and blood were like flames, causing the entire space and light rays to distort. Boom. When the Xinwu attacked, it could subdue all demons and devils, breaking through all obstacles. Two gigantic fists blasted through the air, as huge as mountains. They punched out with overwhelming force, wanting to shatter everything. The black hole kept trembling as cracks appeared from the impact of the punches. Heavenly sanction. After being penetrated by holy light, the body of the black hole was vaporized unceasingly, transforming into ions which then dispersed. Meteor core eruption. Numerous meteors as large as small planets shot through the air, forming a storm of them, adding to the chaos. Each meteor possessed a huge amount of energy, using the most basic matter to attack the black hole. The impact caused the black hole to tremble violently. Everyone unleashed their killing moves repeatedly. When they clashed against the spirit black hole, waves of electromagnetic fluctuation would be produced, sweeping over everything. The black hole was a type of Leviathan spirit creature. It had a certain amount of intelligence. Now that it was injured repeatedly, it also swiftly began its counterattack. Ka. A huge hole suddenly cracked open in the center of the black hole. It then frenziedly spat out something. Countless antimatter gushed forth like a storm. When matter collided with antimatter and when energy encountered anti-energy, mutual destruction would occur. This happened when two things with opposite properties met. A large amount of energy would then be produced from the collision. The outer space, which was extremely close to a vacuum state, bizarrely began to heat up. The defense of the light god mecha armor was also breached as it radiated a blinking red light that indicated danger. It was as though the mecha armors were reaching their limits. It could be seen that Zhao Yue and the others were struggling, but even so, they ultimately didn't retreat. They were contending bitterly against the spirit black hole. Finally, after the antimatter storm passed, they didn't waste words and unleashed the remaining of their energy, blasting at the spirit black hole. The spirit black hole suffered even heavier injuries as a large hole appeared. Of course, Feng Lin naturally wouldn't miss this extremely hard-to-come-by opportunity. 360 cycles cinnabar pill formation. Numerous tiny golden spheres flew out from his hands, frenziedly shooting into the body of the black hole, triggering powerful explosions. The chain reaction of 360 cinnabar pills exploding together eventually formed a vast wave of golden flames that continued to spread outwards, igniting the entire black hole. The spirit black hole transformed into something resembling a golden planet that illuminated the entire space there. The clusters of stars in the surroundings lost their color. Only a single color remained. Chapter 439, Achieving the First Merit. The golden flames burned and spread continuously. The body of the black hole was extremely large, and the spreading speed of the flame was very ferocious as well. The surroundings grew increasingly brighter. From darkness to light, it took only an instant. The chain reactions caused huge bursts of energy to erupt forth, and boundless light lit up the outer space, sweeping the entirety of darkness away. All the matter and energy that the black hole had absorbed now were transforming into fuel for the golden flames. It became something resembling a giant burning planet that illuminated the entire space there. When a fixed star entered its final phase of life, it wouldn't be able to resist its own gravitational pull and would begin to contract. The greater its mass and energy was, the more intense the contraction would be. Common fixed stars would only become white dwarfs. But for large-scaled fixed stars with huge mass, they had the possibility to become a neutron star. The pressure from the triggered energy was so vast that they could cause atoms to crumble apart, becoming the most basic neutrons. And higher up the scale above neutrons, there was still the even deeper black hole. This was the final phase caused by the contraction of a large-scaled fixed star in the universe. Even light would be absorbed. And black holes would absorb things constantly. After millions of years, it was possible that their inner structure no longer could contain such a huge mass. With a final explosion, everything erupted forth, causing a supernova before a brand new fixed star would manifest. This was the natural balance of the universe. The stars and constellations also had life, death, and the cycle of samsara. Just that their time was measured differently, in terms of billions of years. This was similar to the technique unleashed by one of the marshals earlier, the explosion of a supernova. However, the scale was completely incomparable. A spirit black hole was completely ignited, bursting into blazing golden flames that spread through the entire starry space. A countless number of ions sprayed out, and the chain reactions caused everything to collide as torrents of heat engulfed everything. What grand fireworks! An unknown voice was emitted from the frequency channel of those wearing the mecha armors. Looking at this, the grandest fireworks in the universe, everyone involuntarily fell into a daze as they stared at it. Sizzle. Only piercing sounds emitted occasionally from the mecha armors as the red light continued to flash. Attention, attention, energy radiation overload. Everyone is to retreat immediately or the mecha armors will all be destroyed, the sounds of warning echoed through the ears of everyone. The energy reserves in the mecha armor continued to deplete as the damage index rose rapidly, 32%, 33%, 34%. The external shell of the light god mecha armor that was closely knitted together manifested resplendent sparks. The changes continued and everyone finally woke from their dazed state. When they looked at the radiation energy that was like great tides of the ocean gushing over, all of them had fear and shock on their faces as they frenziedly retreated, not daring to stop at all. And now, as one of the spirit black holes had been destroyed, the stable tetrahedron that was the spirit star system's balance was also broken. The impassable antimatter barrier was completely destroyed, a huge crack appeared on it. With one of the black holes being destroyed, the other three were trembling as well as a chain reaction occurred. The originally solid defense of the spirit star system now had a crack in it. It was now like a supreme beauty that was naked, allowing others to do what they wanted as the beauty had no way to resist. The three marshals stood on the motherships. How could they miss out on this opportunity after seeing this scene? All of them exclaimed in joy. Excellent. As expected of the elites of humanity. They actually managed to kill one of the black holes so quickly, achieving the first bout of merit. After praising the attackers, since the gate of the spirit star system was open now, what were they waiting for? Open cannons. Countless cannons instantly appeared on the three motherships. Light and fire shot out while the rumbles shook the space. Powerful blasts shot forth one after the other, enveloping the vast outer space, shattering everything within it into pieces. Poo, pew, pew. The spirit white hole in the center also felt great danger. Circles of high radiation energy were spat out. The moment they entered space, they cooled down immediately and formed spheres that resembled placenta. However, there were malevolent-looking figures that squirmed and struggled as they freed themselves from the placentas, becoming spirit monsters of many different forms. Tentacles slapped the air, gigantic horns towered up the sky, length-twisting tails. These monsters came in all shapes and forms. They treated death as going home as they rushed the motherships with no regard whatsoever for their safety. They gave it their all for the sake of protecting their mother planet. They were all energy life forms and had the innate ability to control energy. X-ray, thermal radiation, sphere lightning. Numerous cosmic energy arced through the air, causing the motherships to tremble from the impact. Gigantic beasts barged forth while cannon fires filled the air. The humans and the spirit monsters killed each other with reckless abandon, causing flesh and blood to splatter through the air. Occasionally, explosions of fireworks could also be seen flashing unceasingly in the air. The spirit black hole was like a bottomless pit, continuing to spit out matter and energy unceasingly. The three motherships faced the attack. When they entered the spirit star system, they were also pressured so much that they found it tough to advance even a single inch forward. When the Star Battle Marshal saw this, he coldly snorted. So what even if it is a white hole? Does it want to exhaust us to death? Does it really treat us humans as soft tofu, coming and leaving as it will with no regard for us? You too, it seems like it's about time for us to act. We cannot allow the juniors to give their lives while we watch at the back. Naturally. The other two marshals respectively nodded. They were already prepared. Staring at Feng Lin and the others who were gathering around them, the Star Battle Marshal sent a voice transmission to everyone. His tone was filled with a hint of commendation. You guys have done very well, taking the initiative to destroy the spirit black hole and break apart the antimatter barrier of the spirit race, opening a path for us. Now, attack the white hole together with us. We will definitely be able to accomplish the whole task in one single stroke. The marshal gave the order, commanding Feng Lin and his group to attack the spirit white hole together. Feng Lin, Zhao Yui and the others weren't shocked but felt happy instead. This undoubtedly meant that the marshal had his eye on them. Having gained his attention, they would be heavily nurtured after this and could obtain countless benefits. After all, battling against a spirit white hole was extremely dangerous. But since they had come here to participate in the final battle, they were already prepared to encounter danger. Following behind the marshal could be considered as the greatest degree of insurance. They could even farm contribution points by doing so. Where else could they find such a good thing? With no hesitation, Feng Lin and everyone else exchanged mutual glances as they instantly came to a consensus. Act now, the Star Battle Marshal roared. The three marshals didn't equip any mecha armor. They slowly moved forward, walking away from the motherships and depending solely on their bodies alone. They only had the thin military uniform on and didn't seem to have anything that could reinforce their defenses. The vacuum of the universe seemed like nothing to them. They could casually stroll around in it. This is... When Feng Lin saw this, he couldn't help but feel shocked. Zhao Yui also had a stunned look on her face as she spoke. The cultivation bases of the marshals have already reached a realm equal to a saint, only a single step away from becoming genetic kings. They are very close to the stage where they can completely understand all the mysterious secrets within their mythological genes, and stimulate them to the max, breaking the limits of their bodies and becoming universe life forms. They can survive in outer space and don't even require food or drink. They can sustain themselves by absorbing astral energy from the constellations. Amazing. Amazing. Feng Lin felt countless emotions in his heart. Traveling through space with their mortal bodies? How amazing was that? Only the power of mythological genes could be so amazing. They were filled with endless possibilities. Feng Lin followed behind the three marshals closely. This was an extremely rare opportunity. The chance to witness a supreme expert battling personally was extremely rare. By spectating their battles, one might be able to gain some insights, allowing their paths in the future to be brighter. If he missed out on this, that would truly be a great loss. Feng Lin and Zhao Yui exchanged a glance. At this moment, everyone used their own techniques and respectively transformed into beams of light as they arced through the space. Chapter 440, Pinnacle of the Universe. Spending time in the air, strolling in outer space. Everything in the universe's vacuum was in a state of emptiness. There was no air, no energy, no material. There wasn't even a sense of direction of what was up, down, left, right, front, and back. As living creatures that grew up in planets, humans breathed air and replenished energy through food consumption, the most rudimentary method. They were born to be unable to survive in outer space. With their mortal bodies, not relying on any technology and strolling in outer space was something that the predecessors hadn't thought of doing before. The three marshals had their hands behind their backs and walked in space as if they were taking a leisurely stroll in the backyard. They seemed to be moving slowly but was actually moving very quickly. Although they didn't show any abnormalities, the feeling they released was extraordinary. This undoubtedly showed that they had surpassed the level of living creatures in the universe. This was the great power of mythological genes, the endless potential to evolve. The interstellar marshals were existences that were second only to the genetic kings. They were experts that stood at the pinnacle of mankind and dominated an area in the starry sky. However, despite how developed the star network was, there wasn't much information regarding them. There hadn't been many situations in which the marshals had made a move and few people could witness them doing so personally. This was undoubtedly a huge opportunity that could allow one to see the mythological paths clearly. Feng Lin, Zhao Yui, and the others remained silent as they followed the three figures in front of them. The three marshals slowly advanced, sometimes slowly, sometimes faster, as they headed straight for the white hole. Countless huge beasts came to surround them from all directions. However, they were instantly stopped by many figures in golden armor. Their entire body was covered in golden armor, with no gaps revealed at all. When they punched and kicked, they would bring forth strong wind. It was as if every part of their body was a weapon and they kept dealing out attacks. They were valiant warriors with tons of experience in battles. Their skills had reached a great level of mastery. Hey hey. As they breathed in and out, their attacks kept smashing out. Dragon Snake Chi Force. They manifested streams of auras that were like dragons and snakes, gathering non-stop in the sky and forming many big dragons that circled around in the air. They were 100 meters long, had eagle claws, the head of a cow, the tail of a snake, fish scales. Every detail could be seen clearly as if they were real. The dragon snake auras danced around in the sky, raising their heads and baring their claws. Their long and slender figures kept on twisting about, as if a divine creature from myths and legends had descended onto the human world. They had few sharp claws, and those huge spirit beasts found it hard to fend them off and were all killed completely. This is the Dragon Snake Chi Force. Zhao Yui's eyes gleamed. As the president of the True Martial Society as well as a great talent in the Martial Academy, Zhao Yui was clearly not unfamiliar to this strange genetic martial art. Her tone was filled with longing. Auras and blood turning into dragon snakes, suppressing the sky. As expected of one of the few high-tier martial arts in the Great Wall University. Senior Zhao, do you know about this group of golden-armored warriors? Feng Lin asked. The Great Wall University had a strong background and endless means. Each one of these golden-armored warriors had the extraordinary cultivation of at least an adept. They are the Dragon Snake Guards. Zhao Yui nodded and didn't hide anything. She said, they are the elite warriors that had been selected through many rounds from the Great Wall University as the personal guards tasked with protecting the marshals. Each one of them is skilled in various genetic martial arts, and the genes they awakened are also considered to be at the best amongst their peers. Their prowess is extraordinary and they aren't what ordinary people could rival. With them around, those huge spirit beasts won't be able to obstruct the marshals at all. Take a good look. The interstellar marshals are the pinnacle existences of humanity, and their attacks contained endless profoundness. Such an opportunity is hard to come by. Although Zhao Yui was a lady, her words held a strong persuasion power, given that she had the strongest cultivation amongst those present. Everyone nodded and focused their gazes for fear that they would miss out on anything. The three warships kept on firing their cannons, forcibly opening up a path with the cannonballs. The three marshals advanced steadily, demonstrating a calm and indestructible disposition. The many dragon snake guards were like the sharpest arrowheads, piercing into the depths of the black wave of spirits. Many human figures kept on gathering over from all directions. Feng Lin and the others were the first to succeed, but the others also wiped out the other black holes in succession, responding to the marshal's call and bringing forth an increasingly majestic influence. Sensing the lethal threat, the white hole's expansion and contraction became increasingly intense, spewing out even more spirit monsters and forming a great army. The sea of spirit monsters gushed out, wanting to drown out these vicious crawlies entirely. Even more lethal radiation spread out in many waves, surpassing the limits of what the human body could tolerate, causing the human skin to corrode and the flesh to become cancerous. These radiation waves came in all sorts of frequencies that penetrated them entirely. Even the most advanced human technology would find it hard to fend them off. Facing such a lethal threat, Feng Lin was about to make a move. However, at the next moment, the group of dragon snake guards rapidly got into action. Protect the marshals! A loud bellow rang out and the many dragon snake guards were like a single person, putting up a layer of barrier to fend off the invasion of the radiation waves. 9 Dragon Divine Light Barrier. Their auras and blood gushed forth, turning into 9 huge dragons that circled in the sky, bringing forth waves of energy. The waves were like a stretch of fiery red light that connected together. Under the protection of the most loyal dragon snake guards, no matter how those spirit monsters or radiations attacked, they couldn't hurt the marshals in the least. In just a moment, the 3 marshals had already led everyone to the white hole. The radiation here was astonishingly powerful, to the point of sending out majestic white light that made it hard for one to look at it with their naked eye. It was hard to discern things and everything was encompassed within the light. However, with the top-notch technology and interstellar cultivators' powerful bodies, everyone still made it through with ease. The 3 marshals exchanged glances and nodded. The interstellar warfare marshal in the middle smiled and spoke up. Let's take action. We can't always let the juniors fight with their lives on the line while we, the old ones, hide behind them. That's unacceptable. That's true. The other 2 marshals also agreed. It seemed that they had long since been unable to suppress their yearning to take action. They looked at the white hole that was as big as a planet and their cold gazes emitted deeply hidden fervent. As the marshals of the Great Wall Army, standing at the pinnacle of the universe, they were the supreme experts amongst mankind and it was hard for them to meet a match in the massive Milky Way galaxy. Only a powerful opponent like the mother planet of the spirit race, the spirit white hole, could let their battle intent rise. Ice Age. Watching at this white sphere that floated in outer space as well as the countless monsters, the Star Domain Marshal wore a cold expression, putting his hands together before his chest. Silver light shone like the stars, cold as ice, and spread out rapidly. Endless amounts of cold air spread out across the entire outer space, freezing all living creatures and causing particles to degenerate. The universe was also put through different eras. Wherever the cold air encompassed, the starry sky would completely sink into an era where all living creatures wither and the stars die out. Even the most foundational particles were completely frozen. The many spirit figures that charged forth froze in the starry sky, turning into ice figurines, still holding their savageness. It was as if their lives had been frozen at this moment. It was extremely scary and mystifying. When the marshals took action, the results would be extraordinary, shaking the universe's origin regulations. The Star River Marshal naturally wouldn't lose out either and let out an explosive bellow toward the surroundings, closed down all communication devices. Although they didn't understand what the marshal's intentions were, since the order was given, there wasn't anyone who would go against it. They quickly closed down the communicative devices. Neutron Pulse. Next, the Star River Marshal clenched his hands together and countless waves emitted from his palms. The neutron star was one of the celestial objects in the universe with the greatest mass. All matter was condensed into neutrons. Amongst the neutron stars, there was also a very unique celestial body called the pulsar. It could keep on transmitting super-strong electromagnetic pulses toward the universe. The Star River Marshal raised both his hands high, seeming as if he didn't perform any excessive movements. However, he kept on sending out pulses incessantly, creating damages of varying degrees without paying any heed to the areas attacked. Those spirit monsters were first frozen and then shattered into pieces by the pulses, completely turning into dust. With two marshals attacking together, a majestic force went surging out and the battlefield was swept clean. The spirit white hole was attacked and a series of explosions took place, with flames soaring into the sky. The overly massive figure stood before the interstellar marshals, becoming a live target for them to test out their attacks, being dealt serious damage incessantly. Feng Lin stood within the battlefield, protecting himself with his full power while also concurrently sensing the powers of the two marshals in detail. This was the strongest power of those who stood at the pinnacle of the universe. When one's mythological genes were awakened to a limit, not only would their powers grow in leaps and bounds, but their qualitative nature would also change, shaking the universe. Feng Lin's eyes gleamed as he gained enlightenment. He felt as if he could see the most intrinsic profoundness behind the mythological genes. Genetic potential plus 360, plus 360, plus 360,